In this position, white sacrifices the exchange to rook for the bishop. There's nothing insane about it. There's nothing crazy about it. There's nothing meme about it. Perfectly logical continuation due to the dictates of the position. But nevertheless, white soon wins from here. Let's take a proper look. Benedict team, the normal duffer, and welcome to my series on logical chess. Word of warning for e4 players in this game. And it's this. It's time to talk about the French. I'm sure it's not just me as an e4 player, former e4 player and reformed e4 player that hates playing against the French. Well, Chernev makes a very strong case for playing the mainline move, which is knight c3 or knight d2, developing a knight and continuing with the game, right? And in the past, I've tried everything against this thing and I hate it. Right, I've tried exchange variations, but going c4. I've tried to really study intensely the advanced lines. And the problem with whatever you study as white versus the French is you're just going to be playing set and fiddle to their studies, because every single time you open e4, you don't get a French game. Every single time a French player faces e4, they get a French game, and therein lies the problem. So I sat with the Chernev book on holiday, and I read his description of what I'm about to read to you, and yeah, it just makes perfect sense that I think knight c3 and learning the main lines is just the way to go, really. Chernev says this. In the fourth French game that's in this book, it says basically there are three ways you can open in the French. There's the exchange, there's the advance, and then there's this knight c3, knight d2 line. And he says that the first line was favoured by Morphy, opening up the position into an exchange line, but therein lies, similar home structures, and it's difficult to get advantage unless you're Paul Morphy. Not Paul Morphy. Then talks about the advance line and why that just plays into black's hands, basically. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he's getting at. Black gets the sort of weak structure that they can aim for, the weak pawn, bottom of the pawn chain, and black wants that, and white plays right into their hands. And the white player have got more experience, so that's just not a very good idea at all. And the third way, therein lies common sense in terms of logical development. And I know this is a book from 1957, and I'm taking advice about openings in a book from 1957, but it still makes sense. And this is my point. The third remains the third way, which is simple and consistent with common sense in chess to support the king pawn and bring a piece out into the scene. And that is what I'm more comfortable with. That's logical. Let's get back to it. So, having said all that at 2 minutes 52 seconds, it's supposed to be a quick summary of of the classical game. After knight c3, knight f6, takes, we get a delayed exchange line anyway. Anyway, let's carry on with the game. Enough of this blooming opening. So let's carry on. So bishop g5, bishop e7. And if this is an exchange game, then the exchange does look pretty good. So bishop d3, knight to c6, and then developing this knight to e2 is interesting. This is interesting. Knight g to e2. Why not f3? What's the idea behind that? Problem with knight f3, as Chernev points out, is it can run into this pawn, and then white's got to sort of defend this pawn, so making concessions like this. The knight on e2 and g3, white also gets some good tactics, but I don't think they could have predicted what was about to happen in the game. And what was about to happen in the game? This. So black goes after the bishop, and then, okay, you could argue that black gets the bishop pair. Oh, it's been a bit weird. Black gets the bishop pair, but black has expended 1, 2, 3 moves in getting rid of the bishop, and white has expended 1 move in the bishop, 1 move in the capture. So there's a bit more inherent energy in the white position because of the waste of moves, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So look at this now. From here, we get this move, which I had to stop and go back to the book and think, why play g6? And yeah, because if black's got the bishop pair, then they want to maintain that. So as Chernev points out, this move, cuts out f5. Can't get knight into f5. And it looks like black was a little bit preoccupied about the bishop pair, because this also now creates a permanent weakness. Probably not going to believe it unless you've seen the actual game, but this game is nearly over. It's nearly over, and white is about to put black in an impossible position. It's very instructive from now on. Less waffle, more action, so let's get on with it. So after this move, we have castles, c6, The other rook from A coming to E1. Maybe keeping this rook because we could probably do this now because we've got a weakness. Makes sense to have this rook behind F4, F5. So bring the other rook to the open E file. And castles. And it's game over. So if you want to pause the video and have a look how white wins, you know that this move comes up because I showed you at the start of the video. Right? It's not an insane sacrifice. It's not crazy. It makes perfect sense. So if you want to pause it and see how to win this position, you can do. But I've talked enough. I actually just want to watch, just want to see what happens. And if you just want to do that as well, you don't have to pause the video. You do what you want. All right, this position, it is all over. We obviously have to take it back. Otherwise, you know, why wouldn't they take it back just a piece down? Right, so the idea here, we've got this knight and this bishop. All white does here is continually put pressure on that pin and wins the game. Really easy when you know how. Queen F3 forces the king to defend, king G7. And then it looks like it's impossible to add another attacker onto this knight, right? But it's not. This is amazing. And it's thanks to this knight and this knight. And this looks a common sort of setup that this could occur in your games, this sort of pattern idea. Well, shut up and play it. Look, knight e4. Knight e4, it's a great move. Knight e4, pawn takes, knight takes e4. We're immediately threatening to win the queen. Right, queen can't take here because bishop check, drops the queen. And it's all over. We can try something like this. Takes check. And then this, and the queen is going to come here. It's going to be checkmate. Black resigns. This video has not driven you completely insane, and you can watch the next one there.